Hey everyone, it's Ethan or Miist back again for another video today, and welcome back to the channel, guys. We're here again for yet another video. Today we're going to be talking about every movie I watched last week, and some very interesting movies in this list. Some of my favorite movies, and perhaps my favorite movie ever, and some of the oldest movies, well actually the oldest movies I've ever watched. Which is pretty exciting as well. So we're going to hop right into it and actually start off with the oldest movie I've ever watched, which is from 1931, Dracula. And sadly, I didn't love this movie. I ranked it a 65 out of 100. Overall, I thought it was a decent movie, but of course, the biggest part of this movie is the absolute crazy impact that this had on culture, especially film culture, because this really invented the monster movie. And yeah, I mean, even though I was pretty underwhelmed with this movie, and I was pretty sad that there wasn't a whole lot of like Dracula action or Dracula kills, which I was really looking forward to, kind of seeing how that would look way back then, 90 years ago, 90 plus years ago. So that kind of sucks, but overall, like I said, I mean, I enjoyed it a little bit. I don't think it's a bad movie, but yeah, unfortunately, just didn't love it. So with that being said, we'll move on to American Made, and this one was another one that was kind of interesting, and I've learned that Doug Liman is an interesting director because his filmography, from what I've seen, is a little bit up and down. We have the new Roadhouse movie, which I think is alright, then American Made, which I think is alright, and then way up ahead is, I believe, Edge of Tomorrow, which I really like, and I really want to rewatch, because, yeah, I mean, that movie was sick the first time I watched it. So, you know, this one I didn't necessarily love. I ranked it a 67 out of 100. Overall, I do think it was a decent movie. But again, same thing to Dracula. I just wasn't in love with this movie very much. And I just think it's one of Tom Cruise's worst. Not even in a bad way. Really, I just don't think it's as good as many of his other films that are pretty good, in my opinion. So, I'm going to keep going. On to the last 3-star of the week, I believe, which is My Only Girl, which was released this year. And it was recently released, I think, last week on Netflix. So this is my newest watch of the year, so that's pretty interesting. And yeah, I mean, it was decent. I thought it was kind of cute, some interesting stories and some interesting themes within it, but overall I just thought it was decent, you know, just nothing special. So let's move on to Drive. And speaking of nothing special, this one kind of underwhelmed me. I felt like the first little bit of this movie, I wasn't very intrigued, you know. I was enjoying it, but I wasn't loving it, you know, and overall I thought it was okay for a little while, then it got a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, Ryan Gosling really does put on a great performance that's super subtle, and it's really good, but overall I just didn't love this movie either. I didn't really connect with it all that much, and again, I found it really slow at times, which wasn't really a benefit, which I think that is the way that it was supposed to be, but unfortunately I just didn't really enjoy my time with it, and again, I felt like it was very slow, so it just wasn't for me, unfortunately. But with that being said, we'll move on to what was my oldest movie watch for a day, but Frankenstein, also released in 1931, so this was after Dracula. But like I said, like this, you know, these two movies is what really started the monster movie, which is really impressive because, of course, Frankenstein is a over 200-year-old character and story, and we are still getting media from Frankenstein today. We're getting a Frankenstein movie, I believe, this year, right? So it's crazy to see the longevity of this character and this story, and I'm very excited to see what the new one could be, because overall I did enjoy this movie. I ranked it a 72 out of 100. It's not my favorite movie by any means, but I do find it hard to get into some older movies, and these ones are old. These are 93 years old, these two. So, like I said, I find it hard to get into at times, but for the most part, I enjoyed myself watching this, and going to its sequel, Bride of Frankenstein, I liked this one a little bit more, and it seems like that is the common consensus of this film, that this one is a little bit better than the first one. I don't think it's really much different. I think it's only a few points ahead of it, to be honest, at a 76 out of 100. I would like to rewatch these movies at some point, because I learned last night that Universal really put out like so many of these monster movies in like the 30s and 40s, and there's the Wolf Man, the Invisible Man, like there's so many others as well. I think the Black Cat or something else. Like, I'd seen so many different movies that some of them I'd never heard of, some of them I did hear of, and it's crazy because, again, there's just so many monster movies that I really want to watch, just because they are definitely ones that really started, like, the horror and sci-fi genres of, monsters, which is really, really impressive and really cool to see. Now, this is also, like I said, one of my one of my oldest movies watched, from 1935, though. And again, it wasn't my favorite, is what I meant to say. So, unfortunately, it's not, the best by any means, but I did still enjoy my time with it, and I feel bad for my King Frankenstein, but he just wants love. He just wants friends. Who can't relate to that? Anyways, let's move on to A River Runs Through It, and I can definitely understand if people don't like this movie. I seem to have been a little bit higher on this movie than some. But this is a pretty slow burn as well, similar to Drive, and there's no action in this movie, really. It's just a slow burn of a character, really, or a family of characters that are growing up throughout most of their life and going through ups and downs in their life as well. And I don't know, there was just something about this movie that I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed the acting as well, and I think this might have been Robert Redford's debut or directorial debut. Honestly, I'm not sure about that. That is not something I looked at, so that's probably something I should look at. But yeah, overall, I just really enjoy this movie more than I thought I would. I seen it was leaving Netflix. Same thing with American Made, and that's why I watched it. But yeah, I ranked A River Runs Through It at an 80 out of 100. So overall, great at that 4-star. So let's move on to The Big Lebowski, which I ranked at 83 out of 100. All I wrote in my review was never pee on a man's rug. Facts. But yeah, overall, this was just a great comedy. I mean, it's like an action comedy mystery, kinda. More so a comedy mystery. I didn't think it was the best movie ever. I've heard such great things about this movie. I did feel a little bit underwhelmed, but I seem to be a little bit underwhelmed with most of the Coen brothers movies that I've watched so far, which is sad because I've just heard people love their movies, and I really want to. And I mean, most of their movies I still rank a 4-star, but I just don't love it as much as some others do. So this one kind of just falls into that loop as well, unfortunately. Do I still like it? Yes, definitely. I mean, I ranked it an 83 out of 100. Really, the best part about this was the comedy and the great chemistry between the cast members as well, because it was just really funny. But yeah, not my favorite movie. But we'll move on to one that was really random, but again, it was also leaving Netflix at, well, actually, it was yesterday, or 2 days ago now, I think. I think it was May 31st, which is Kung Fu Hustle, which I really enjoyed. There were times in this movie where I'm like, do I like this movie or do I hate this movie? Which I think that's just kind of the comedy satire that it really was. And overall, I really enjoyed my time with this movie. I thought it was really, really funny. And yeah, I definitely enjoyed my time with this movie. So I ranked it an 85 out of 100. It was super funny. It was super unique. And I guess, well, it's the same director as Shaolin Soccer, which I have heard of, but I have not watched. So I gotta definitely watch it now. And a lot of people consider Shaolin Soccer to be even better. So I am excited to watch it eventually, and I definitely will at some point now, so that's exciting. But let's move on to my top 2 movies of the week. And honestly, I'm not even really going to talk about them a whole lot because Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which I ranked in 100 out of 100, and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which I ranked a 100 out of 100. Both of them, I don't know. I just love these movies so much, man. This is the best trilogy ever made, and it's not even complete. Like, I cannot wait for Beyond the Spider-Verse, and I'm so happy that I finally got to watch these movies with Mel, because Mel had never seen them until this week, and I'm very, very thankful that she enjoyed them. She didn't love Into the Spider-Verse. She ranked it a 4-star, so she still enjoyed it, but that's pretty low for Mel. A 4-star is pretty low for Mel. So Across the Spider-Verse, she really, really loved, which made me so happy just because of how much I love this movie. And she ranked it a 98 out of 100, so it doesn't really get much better than that. This year, I've shown her Shang-Chi and Into and Across the Spider-Verse, and she's really loved 2 out of the 3 of them, which I'm very happy about. And next is the Batman, so we'll see how that goes. But of course, the Superman trilogy as well from Zack Snyder. But yeah, I mean, overall, this is my 12th time watching Across the Spider-Verse in the 12 months that it was released. It was officially released a year ago today at the time of recording this, but yesterday for you guys. So that's crazy. It's already been a year. I've watched it 12 times in 12 months. So that's kind of wild. And I think Into the Spider-Verse, it might have been my 10th time watching it on Letterboxd, I think, as well, which is quite impressive. But yeah, I do think they're both 100 out of 100, but I really think Across the Spider-Verse is just better. Truly, I really, really do. Like, and I obviously I don't rank anything over a 100, but if I did, Across would be above a 100 for sure, and I'm really, really considering it as my favorite movie at this point. So one thing I didn't mention earlier on in the video that I wanted to mention was I actually hit my 300th movie of the year this week as well, which is pretty cool and pretty impressive. Obviously, that's a lot of movies. Most people probably don't even watch that many movies in their lifetime, so but yeah, I didn't even realize until Mel and I had watched Across the Spider-Verse, but it was actually my 299th movie, so I was a little sad that that wasn't my 300th movie, just because that would have been kind of poetic on its 1 year, on the my 300th of the year, perhaps my favorite movie ever. But Dracula was actually my 300th of the year, which is still pretty cool, just because, you know, it's one of the most influential films of all time. So with that being said, thank you guys all so much for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.